I just wanted to squeeze in this story because India's newly minted Chief of Defence Staff has signaled a brand new war on terror. And I wanted to remind you, the viewer, of just how big this war actually is. We've listed India's top 5 most wanted terrorists. Take a look.
In less than a month, it will be the first anniversary of the Pulwama terror attack. A terrifying strike that killed 40 Central Reserve Police Force personnel. And after a year that has seen conflict and turmoil in its wake, India today made a thundering declaration. From no less than its newly minted Chief of Defence Staff, General Bipin Rawat.
So long as there are going to be states that are going to be sponsoring terrorism, so long there are going to be states that are going to use terrorists as their proxies, make weapons available to them, make the funding for them, we cannot control terrorism. And therefore, what is the final end state that we wish to arrive at? We have to bring an end to terrorism, and that can only happen the way the Americans started after 9/11. They said, let's go on a spree on global war on terror.
In his first public comments since taking office, General Rawat has laid out the contours of India's security focus. He has, in effect, declared a renewed and focused war on Pakistan's state-sponsored terror. As an officer who helped plan both the cross-border raids in Myanmar in 2015 and the post-Uri surgical strike in 2016, General Rawat knows that terrorism has to be smashed at its root. And if India needed any reminding, all of those roots lead to Pakistan, a state sponsor of terror. But as the Chief of Defence Staff, General Rawat, calls for a spree against terror, here is a quick roundup of just the top 5 in India's long list of most wanted terrorists. Topping the list for decades is Dawood Ibrahim Kaskar, who has a $25 million bounty on his head. Wanted since 1993 for orchestrating the Mumbai blasts that killed over 257 people. He's currently known to be a VVIP protectee of Pakistan's ISI and lives in the defense housing area of Karachi, though he also travels to Dubai on fake passports. India's most wanted terrorist number 1, Dawood Ibrahim Kaskar. Most wanted terrorist number 2, Hafiz Muhammad Saeed, the mainstream mastermind of Pakistan-sponsored terror against India. His magnum opus was the 26/11 Mumbai terror strikes. One of India's most insidious and unpredictable enemies, Hafiz Saeed is also wanted in India for the 2001 attack on the Indian Parliament along with Masood Azhar of Jaish-e-Mohammed. This brings us to India's most wanted terrorist number 3, Maulana of terror, Masood Azhar. One of India's most insidious and unpredictable enemies is the Maulana of terror, Masood Azhar, the founder of Jaish-e-Mohammed, a UN-designated terrorist organization. This terrorist was exchanged for hostages in the IC-814 hijacking. Masood Azhar then went on to mount the 2001 attack on Parliament and has struck India several times since, including most recently in Pathankot and then again in Pulwama last year. Declared a global terrorist by the UN, he continues to be protected by the Pakistan deep state. Most wanted terrorist number 4, Syed Salahuddin. The chief of pro-Pakistan terrorist organization Hizbul Mujahideen, Syed Salahuddin, is a frequent guest of honor in Pakistan, a country that arms, funds and trains Hizbul Mujahideen terrorists for a continuing proxy war against India. The Hizbul Mujahideen continues to be the dominant terrorist organization in Kashmir, with Sayyid Salahuddin providing ideological and logistical leadership from Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Most wanted terrorist number 5, Zakir Rahman Lakhvi. The Lashkar-e-Taiba's Supreme Commander for Operations in Kashmir, Zakir Rahman Lakhvi, was also instrumental in the 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks and continues to live in Pakistan without punishment. Pakistan has in fact fought tooth and nail to ensure some of his assets remain unfrozen despite global action against Lashkar as a terrorist organization. These are just 5 in a disturbingly long list of terrorists India has hunted for years, even decades. But as the country's new military leadership calls for a hunting spree against terrorists, the question is, how and what will be different going ahead? Since 2016, India has ventured deep into hostile territory to strike at terror launch pads in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, and then drop bombs from the air on one of the biggest Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorist training facilities in Balakot in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province of Pakistan. With Shivarur in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
Gaurav Savant remains with us, but I want to go across first to India Today's editor defense, Abhishek Bhalla. Abhishek, has the Chief of Defence Staff signalled a renewed, more focused war against terrorism? His words, which are his first public comments as the CDS, cannot be taken lightly.
Yes, and this came, Shiv, at a platform where there was a lot of foreign delegation, people from other countries at the Raisina dialogue earlier this morning. And, he clearly said that as far as Pakistan is concerned, it needs to be diplomatically isolated. And action like the FATF blacklisting Pakistan is good enough. But if it doesn't work in the long run, then he said that India should think of military action. And there was a reference to the US approach post 9/11.
Yeah.
Even though he did not clarify, he did not categorically say that India should take a similar approach. But he was speaking to a larger audience. And, the big message to the global community was that Pakistan needs to be treated the same way other countries that have sponsored terror have been treated. And that's why his first, comments after taking over as the CDS were very, very significant, because it was a clear message of what India's military leadership and India's political leadership believes in.
And this is not hollow statement of intent, Gaurav. General Rawat himself has overseen the surgical strikes, the cross-border raids in Myanmar. He was the chief when the Balakot strikes happened as well. So, the fact that punitive action can be taken is something that India has demonstrated. So we can't take what he has said lightly here.
Oh, absolutely not. And the fact that at this, his first address at the Raisina dialogue, he talks about taking out terror at source, at its roots.
Yeah.
It's extremely significant. India has started doing that in some ways. As your report very rightly pointed out, Shiv, surgical strike in Myanmar, surgical strike post Uri, then that bigger strike in Balakot. Now, will India then take out terrorists like Hafiz Saeed or Masood Azhar or Zakir Rahman Lakhvi or Zarar Shah?
Yes.
He's the man who's giving that single point military advice to the government. It's up to the government whether they take that advice.
Very, very significant comments. The first public comments from India's newly minted top military man, the Chief of Defence Staff, General Bipin Rawat. Abhishek and Gaurav, appreciate it. Thank you very much for joining me on that.